It's something interesting on the menu nonetheless. So we might as well jump back into it. Something that is new is that the Biden administration, you guys, came out, oh, excuse me, not the Biden administration, but the mask mandate. The mask mandate is being lowered, and the Biden administration is no longer going to enforce it in the US on public transportation, whether that be on airplanes or commute like trains like Amtrak, after a federal judge in Florida ruled that it's unlawful. So we're turning over a new leaf in this COVID. And soon after the announcement, you guys, all of the major carriers, American Airlines, United, and Delta, as well as Amtrak, you guys, are basically saying that they relaxed the restriction. So, of course, I did my due diligence. I went over to Delta Airlines just to see what was going on. And they have the announcement right there that masks are not mandatory, they're optional. So turning over a new leaf. Mike, what are your thoughts on that? Are you taking down the mask?
Am I taking down the mask? Not on an airplane. Nah, that's an enclosed space, man. It was already weird breathing people's air on airplanes. And then we started getting them viral clips of these weirdos taking off their shoes and socks with their feet on them. Man, airplanes is already a weird place. I'll probably mask it. I think though, what really catches me about this story is first, the specific judge that struck down Biden's order in court was one of Trump's appointees, which was interesting. But also just, we're in an interesting place if the Biden administration doesn't fight back on this ruling and take it to the Supreme Court, which is what it looks like they're going to do, because it's not really Biden's mask mandate. It was the CDC that recommended the mask mandate and Biden went along with it. But striking this down is kind of taking a step in saying that the CDC doesn't have the authority to fight against a virus. And I know that a lot of people have pandemic fatigue. You've seen a lot of people actually celebrating on airplanes when they got to take their mask off. I think there were people on both sides of the spectrum here, but it still points to the question, do we want to be in a place where the CDC doesn't have the power to fight against viruses as they see fit?
That's an interesting way to look at it. When I read this article, I was thinking that the judge ruling it unlawful was definitely something for us to keep our eyes out about. Really, I think I'm more in support of the mask mandate coming down, just because we're bringing it down in schools. I mean, we're just at the point where, if we're all getting back to this new normal, then essentially that the masks, they have to come down, right? I mean, that's just where we're graduating to. And I think that's just the natural step and where we're going. So I'm not opposed to the ruling. I do love that this is still optional, because what would be worse, Mike, is that we were not allowed to wear masks in public spaces. And I think that could very well happen, considering a lot of people, well, not a lot of people. Let me watch my words. I want to ensure that we can make some considerations for those who still want to continue to wear their mask, and that there don't be any kind of judgment or ruling for individuals who still want to wear their mask. So yeah, that it is. I think we're just moving into the natural course of COVID kind of being over and dying out, especially those with fatigue or not fatigue. But I'm actually going to continue to wear a mask on an airplane, as well as just other things where you're in super close contact. Like, when I get my eyelashes done, I was like, why wasn't I wearing a mask before? Like you have someone just all in your face. It just
That's how I feel about the airplane.
Yeah, it makes so much sense.
For real, we're in close quarters. I think pandemic fatigue is real. I think that's actually where I am personally. Like, I'm tired of it. So a big part of me is like, yes, make this optional. The folks that want to be safe as you want to be. You want to get vaccines, get them. You want to wear your mask, wear it. Yeah. I like the option of choice. I think where I get worried and how this played out it's not the conclusion that we came to. It's the way that we got there, because to me, it feels a lot like the airline industry in particular decided that the ruling of the CDC was bad for business. So they went and fought and lobbied against the CDC tooth and nail. And the airline industry has been doing this for a while now. And this ruling to me makes it feel like they won. And it actually does worry me if we're in a place where the interest of big business, the interest of billion-dollar industries can impede on government processes that are supposed to keep us safe. Because Leon's comment was a good one. They were arguing that it was a government overreach to have the mask mandate, but like that's something that I think the government should be able to do. Like if they want to slow a global pandemic or a pandemic that's affecting our country, they need to have the power to do so. Like if we get into a conflict with Russia and they drop a chemical bomb and the CDC is telling us what to do, but then Delta is like, nah, don't do that. Like, yo, Delta shouldn't have the power to step in, and they stepped in here. And even though I agree with what the outcome is, I don't like how that process played out.
Yeah, well, another thing is that when mask mandates and everything started coming into effect, really when COVID just started stretching its arms, a lot of us were like, whoa, how much control does the government have? And again, having the conversation about whether or not the government can mandate vaccines. And a lot of us were, had to get vaccinated, not by choice, but essentially by force because they didn't want to lose their jobs. And so I think the question, it still begs the same question in where does the government, begin and end, and what do they have oversight over? So I think, Leon, again, to your point, are the mandates overreaching? Yes and no. I mean, we have lost a lot of our choice in a lot of this, and some of it is positive and some of it is like a slippery slope.
Before we move on, I know we got to go, but I definitely want to touch on Harry Jefferson's comment because I think he's right. Yo, the numbers don't support this. Like, it's not like this, like Delta or the airlines, Alaska, whoever, they were all on board. So I'm not singling nobody out, but it's not like they looked at the numbers and was like, oh, yeah, we got this COVID thing under control. We don't need masks anymore. Right. It had nothing to do with the science. It had nothing to do with safety. This was all about economics. This was all about dollars. This is money running our country.
Well, let me tell you, a lot of people ain't traveling right now anyway because these gas prices is too goddamn high.
Airline tickets are crazy high right now too, though. Wow, if we're being real,
I just spent almost $700 on a Southwest ticket on a one-way from Cabo back to DC. So it's giving put your ass at home. Let's keep it real. All right, y'all. Well, we'll move on from this, but I think Mike and I have made the decision that we're going to continue to wear our mask on the airplane. Let us know in the comments what you guys plan to do in terms of your traveling. And I wonder how this is going to affect commuters, like whether or not they're going to wear it on Metro or on the trains.
You don't have to. You don't.
So I wonder if people will still wear them nonetheless.
That's a good question.
Another
probably depends on where you live.
Yeah, or just how comfortable you feel, right? I'm gonna be honest with you. I stopped wearing my mask altogether. Like I put it on and then I end up taking it off, and I didn't wear. I'm not wearing the mask anymore, you guys. I don't
keep it on me. I'm not gonna front. Yeah, I hear a sneeze, mask on. I hear a cough, mask on. Like I don't know. I don't be trying to be that person, but I be out here being that person, man. Anybody?
Yeah, I am that guy
around me.
I'm that guy too.